Google Collaboratory, or Colab for short, is the best way to get started with artificial intelligence and data science. Everything you need, all the major libraries and tools are already pre-installed for you and pre-set up for you. So by the time it takes you to search how to install another software, you can already get up and running coding your data science and artificial intelligence code. With Google Colab, you can write, run, and share Python code in your browser, and this allows you to get started from your phone, tablet, or laptop without any configuration, and you can immediately share your code with anyone with a simple link. And everything you do in Colab will be saved under your Google account, so you can access them, share them, just like the rest of your files under your Google Drive. If you are familiar with the Jupyter notebooks, Google Colab is essentially a Jupyter notebook hosted on Google servers with additional functionalities that makes it especially popular among data science artificial intelligence communities. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with Colab. So first thing you want to do is to search for Google Colab, and it should be the one that says colab.research.google.com. Let's go into that. So the very first thing you should know about Google Colab is that everything is organized under notebooks. So first thing you see when you come to the website are basically your recent notebooks. And the first one you will see will probably be the Welcome to Collaboratory notebook. So to get started, first thing we want to do is to go ahead and create a new notebook. So the first time you open a Colab notebook, it will name it for you with Untitled 0. In this case, it is 3 for me. And one thing you want to do is to rename this notebook so that it's more meaningful to us. It can be something like Colab Intro Tutorial. Since many times you'll be working with multiple notebooks at a time, it can be really helpful to appropriately name your notebooks. So if you come back to it months after writing it, it will be descriptive and much easier for you to know what you were doing in that notebook. And everything I do in this notebook will be saved to my Google Drive under my Google account. So when first we take a look at Google Colab, the first thing we will see, and the major thing we will see, is something called a code cell and a play button. We can go ahead and write some Python code here, and it will be executed not on our laptop, but it will be run on Google servers. And currently we are not connected at servers, but we don't have to click here to be connected. But instead, usually what you want to do is to write some code here, and it will be automatically connect to Google servers. So let's write a simple Python code. Now there are a couple ways I can run this code. First one, and the default one, is to click on this play button. And we just ran our first Python code. Usually you'll want to use keyboard shortcuts, and the shortcut to run a single cell is Command Enter, which does the same thing as clicking on that play button. But most of the time, chances are you'll want to run a code cell and create a new code cell under it so you can keep coding. To do that, we will use Shift Enter, which I just did. Notice that there are two types of cells I can create. One of them is a code cell, and this is where we write our code. Another one is a text cell. So although it says text cell, text is not the only thing we can write here. Once we write some text, using the icons above, we can turn it into bold, italic, title, as well as other features such as images or videos, lists, and bullet points. And there's actually even a language for that called Markdown language. And as you're getting started with Colab, it's not necessary to learn Markdown language, but if you're interested, you can do that, especially later on in your artificial intelligence or data science journey. For now, what you should know is that we can create code cells that are modular, and we can also use text cells to make more explanations or display images that will be helpful and maybe explain our code better with some rich text formats. So when we write code inside code cells, we said that it's not running in our own laptop, but it's running at Google servers. And there are actually 3 types of servers that Google can allocate to us, and we can change it from here. If you go to runtime and change runtime type, you will see that you have the option to have a hardware accelerator. Right now, by default, you are not given a hardware accelerator, but if you need one, it's possible to have either a GPU or a TPU. So why would you need them? If you're just getting started and writing Python code or simple machine learning code that runs fast enough, most likely you'll be fine with the default version, which has no hardware accelerator, meaning that it will run on CPUs. But as your artificial intelligence code gets larger and more complex, as you do more operations, that operations you make will take more time, and you'll want to use some kind of hardware accelerator. And the most common hardware accelerator is a GPU. And we have access to free GPUs within Colab. One thing you will notice is that when you change the hardware accelerator type from none to GPU or a TPU, it will basically tell you that if you don't need a hardware accelerator, do not use a hardware accelerator, and this way Google can allocate its GPUs or TPUs to people who need more computational power. For now, I'm just writing simple Python code, so I can change it to none. One thing you should know is that when you leave your notebook unused for hours, your notebook will be disconnected from Google servers to more efficiently allocate its resources. But do not worry, when that happens, all of your code will be still safe and nothing changed on them. But you will need to rerun your code. And to do that, you can also do it from runtime and run all. So we talked about CPUs and GPUs that you can connect to, but there's also another one which we can access from change runtime type and hardware accelerator, and that was TPU. And TPUs are tensor processing units, and do not be scared by the name. These are basically processing units or processing chips that are specifically designed for significantly accelerating artificial intelligence code, and we also have free access to them from Colab. And this can be especially useful if you have larger machine learning models or artificial intelligence models. But if you are using a smaller model, you'll be most likely fine with a GPU or none hardware accelerator. So until now, we just seen Python code, but we didn't see anything about data science, machine learning, or artificial intelligence code. But one of the major advantages of using Google Colab is that you can't only code Python code in the browser, but all of the major data science and artificial intelligence libraries and tools come already pre-installed in Colab, and we can start using them with import statements such as so in order to use TensorFlow, NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, and PyTorch, and many more of them, since they are already pre-installed for us, we can start using them with these import statements. And if you want, we can also check their versions. And as you can see, we're using the latest versions of the libraries, such as using TensorFlow 2.4, which is the latest one as of right now. And if you're not familiar with any of these, do not worry. As you get started with Colab, it will be much easier to learn them as you're coding them. So as you're getting started, you're not required to know what this code does or what are these libraries are about. And you can learn them one video at a time. And every now and then, you'll want to use libraries that are not inside Colab. And when you want to do that, you will want to prefix your code with an exclamation mark. And with that, you can install other libraries to Colab as well. And when you want to use them, you can start using them with import statements as well. So as you are working within a notebook, if you want to create a new notebook, you can do that from File and New Notebook. And similar notebook actions such as opening the existing ones, you can also do them from here as well. A lot of the times, many of the machine learning, data science, or artificial intelligence codes are written in Colab, and when you're learning from them, one thing you want to do is to save a copy in Drive. And when you save a copy in Drive, you can have a copy of the tutorial and save it under your Google Drive as well. And if I do that, I will have all the code from that previous notebook, except in this one I'm not connected, which I can connect in a second as well. And I will have this title changed to a copy of Colab intro tutorial from Colab intro tutorial. And if I want to run this code, you can either run that code cell by cell, or you can run that from runtime and run all, which will run all the cells sequentially. And that's one of the reasons why Colab is so popular among data science and machine learning communities. And you can find a lot of tutorials are written in Colab for ease of shareability, because you can literally share them with a single link, and everyone that has an internet connection and a Google account can have access to that code and run them themselves, as well as modifying it. And if you want to download the notebook, you can also do that from here. Under File, you can go download this notebook as a IPNB file, which is what we are using here. And you can also download it as a Python file. One thing you should know is that currently we are working with an IPNB file, and this is the same file format that you use in Jupyter notebooks. And IPNB files are more popular with data science and machine learning because they have additional capabilities on top of Python files. Some of those features are code cells, which you can save your outputs of the code cells. You can also change the order of the code cells more easily from these up or down arrows. You can delete them, comment them, and they're overall in a more modular structure that are a better fit for data science and machine learning code. So these were everything you needed to get started with Google Colab. As you just have seen, you can just search for Google Colab and get coding within seconds without any setup, and everything you do will be saved under your Google account, and you can reach them from your Google Drive and share them with a single link. So this was it for this tutorial. If you learn better by reading, by the way, I also have this tutorial in article format as well, and I will make sure to put a link to it in the description box. With that, I hope you got some value out of this video. If you want to see more machine learning and artificial intelligence tutorials, make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.